So today I'm thrilled to welcome a very special guest, JC, the CEO and founder of Fuse, a company that is accelerating the world's transition to fusion energy. JC has been leading Fuse since August 2019. Before Fuse, he founded Hestia Academy in March 2017, an online academy that offers a self-learning framework and a community of creators and mentors. Before this, JC spent 6 months at McGill University as a researcher working on multi-agent reinforcement learning. JC's leadership and vision has been instrumental in driving the success of his ventures. Under his guidance, Fuse has been making significant progress in the field of fusion energy since its inception. JC, it's a pleasure to have you with me today. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and happy to be here.
Can you please break down what Fuse is all about in a few words?
Yeah, so Fuse, is, as you mentioned, is working on a mission to accelerate the world's transition to fusion energy. So fusion has been the holy grail for decades. It's an unlimited source of clean, abundant, safe, and on-demand energy. I think it's the last energy source that humanity will ever need, and especially as the technologies like AI, quantum, or others are starting to wrap up, the world's demand for energy is growing, exponentially. And so we believe fusion is going to be the answer for the energy needs for our civilization. And at the same time, fusion is also very useful for national security and to make sure that the world remains in order and safe. And so we're also pretty proud to be supporting the race to be the leading country with the Western values to be the leader of fusion technology.
Awesome. And you touched upon it. So you're leading the race to go towards fusion energy. For most, fusion energy is pretty complex. It's a complex topic. Could you try to explain with very simple words what this is all about?
Yeah, so fusion is essentially how the sun works, how the stars that you see shine bright in the sky. It's essentially all of that is fusion. It's essentially taking the lightest atoms in the universe. It makes it easier. You can do heavier things. But think of hydrogen, isotopes of deuterium, tritium, and under extreme conditions of pressure, density, and time, compressing those particles to a point where they can fuse together. And then by fusing together, the small loss of mass, if you remember the famous E=mc² equation, or the small loss of mass will create a huge amount of energy because c² is the speed of light and it's a very large number. And so essentially the biggest challenge has been, the sun has a pretty big weight. It's pretty heavy on Earth. How do we essentially create those same conditions, but for a few nanoseconds is how much we can produce in a very, very short amount of time. And so we had to create these artificial conditions. So it's like creating an artificial sun on Earth and putting it in a bottle. And we can imagine that's pretty challenging. And so for us, the way we create those conditions that are, star-like or sun-like conditions, we create essentially a lightning bolt. So essentially creating lightning in a bottle that implodes a can of fuel, and that can of fuel is being compressed and under extreme temperature, density, and for a short period of time, confining and producing fusion.
Awesome. And what sparked your interest in fusion energy? Was there like a defining moment for you, or like an experience that led you down this path?
Yeah, so growing up, my father's a nuclear trained physicist. He ended up building a manufacturing plant, but so growing up, I was just fascinated by how the universe works. I was like, people talk about galaxies and stars, and like, I want to go see a star and see if it's real, not just these photos look too good to be true. And then I realized, and I asked my dad, how is this possible, right? Like, I told me, forget it. You're not gonna go see Pluto or Saturn and come back. It doesn't work like that. And I was pretty disappointed, so I went to the internet and started Googling like how to do interstellar travel in a timely manner. And there's some folks, really cool people who have spent a lot of time thinking about this and came up with this fusion-powered rockets. And so that's when I said I want to build a fusion-powered rocket. That's when I really wanted to learn about fusion, and motivated me to sit in the classroom longer than I would have otherwise. And then at some point, I just kind of, when time came for college, I had done some, research internships, very brief, at university while still in high school, looking at plasma physics and trying to better build my technical knowledge. And then I realized that like energy, like I was just going through the existential soul searching process of like, how do I want to spend my life, And then I was like, what is the biggest important problems for me to like spend time on that people are not paying as much attention to, and fusion was one of them. It was the building block for unlocking anything else. Even if you think basic things like GDP per capita, it's directly tied to kilowatt hour available per capita. So how do we kind of get the whole world to prosper? I think fusion and energy is at the core of like human prosperity.
That's very interesting. You've been at the head of Fuse since 2019. We've touched upon that. How has the journey been so far? And do you want to explain some of the milestones that you've reached so far?
Yeah, I would say it's ups and downs. It's been great, but overall, very proud of the team and what we've accomplished. So in Canada, we're the first to be licensed to have the type of fusion generator we have. So we're proud to be the first one in Canada. We also just we proved a new novel pulse power machine. So the way we create this lightning in a bottle, we have a new pulse power generator that we're very excited about that we just showcased and tested. Over 100 shots. And we're also, I think, the first fusion company to be actually doing work supporting, to be actually getting commercial traction immediately and generating revenue, right? So I think you'll see a lot of fusion company out there that are taking mostly a Boolean bet, even though sometimes they may not see it, or taking a bet that in 7-10 years there's going to be commercial energy. Well, that's what we're racing for, and that's all that, we're working very hard to get there as fast as possible, but we're making revenue today. And so we're building a sustainable business and maturing the technology to get to fusion energy eventually.
Great. I've heard a lot about Titan, which is one of your machine that you're building. Can you shed some lights on why it's significant today?
Yeah, so Titan is essentially a pulse power driver, which means storing a lot of energy and then releasing it as fast as possible. So think of a giant battery. That's the energy stored. If you can release that as fast as possible, then you get very high power. E equals P over T, right? So same amount of energy, you release it faster, more power. And so that's what essentially Titan is designed to do. It's designed to deliver the energy required for fusion to occur. And why Titan really matters is it can make any next generation fusion facility based on the Titan technology at least 1/3 the size, or at least 5 times cheaper, and doubles the energy efficiency. It was much more scalable as an approach. So we believe is one of the core building blocks to be able to build, large fusion facilities. And so we're very excited to have de-risked one of the core technology risks to make fusion repetitive and cost effective.
And you've talked a little bit about the future of energy and what the industry will look like. So how, or more so, in what ways do you envision Fuse to revolutionize this energy sector? And can you paint a picture of what the future looks like?
Yeah, I think I think if you look at the word in general, let's take a step back and think about energy and history, right? Like if you think about like the word and civilization, there's a really good book by Vaclav Smil. I may be misspelling his name, but it's called Energy and Civilization. And he talks about the phases of energy that humanity has gone through and how progress and innovation has been directly tied to like energy ages. Like there's the age of the like muscles, right? When we were using cows or our own, muscles and humans to do work. And then we went into the chemistry the time, right, or the chemical energy era. We're trying to do, combustion and railroad, just combustion and different, the different way to generate heat and then through heat produce energy. And I think now we're entering the, I think that there's a point in time where we're going to enter the atomic era, where we're harnessing the power of the atom, whether it's fission, fusion, or whatever way, to actually unlock a new age for civilization. So I think looking back in the world in 2040, 2050, I hope that we've unlocked the atomic age and we're learning to harness the power of the atom, right? Because even if you think about, fossil fuels, a lot of people talk about how bad they are for the environment, etc., which they definitely have lots of cons, but fossil fuels are also very useful to producing plastics, to producing different materials and molecules that are really, really useful for humanity and basic necessities. And I think at some point we're going to learn how to harness the power of the atom and just unlock a new age and a new era of innovation for all of us. And I think from a macro scale as well, if you look at the emerging world, right? So like if you look at the Southeast Asia, Africa, etc., like their energy needs are starting to grow significantly. And as I had mentioned earlier, GDP per capita, so like the economic strengths of a country, is directly tied to how much the country has energy available. So I think like around as we fast forward into the future, there's going to be a time where we're going to learn and actually adopt harnessing the power of the atom. And I think Fuse wants to be at the forefront and help enable that future. And so we've got like growing machines that we're building that help us first become a sustainable business and also a mature critical technology required to eventually get to fusion.
And when do you anticipate this fusion or new type of energy, may it be fusion, fission, any type of energy, that when do you anticipate this to become viable or accessible to more people?
Right, that's a $1 trillion question. I mean, fission works. It's a question more regulatory and construction, like it's a project management problem more than like engineering or science. I think like what really matters here, rather than like putting a date, is actually measuring the rate of progress, right? I think it took decades to get to some big milestones, but I've seen right now, especially with the surge of there's $6 billion, over $6 billion at this point, announced publicly at least. So there's probably more than that. Committed to private fusion companies. So what I care about is measuring what's the rate of progress, the rate of iteration, and I'm confident that sometime within the next decade or two, we'll be able to, to realize and harness the power of the atom.
And Fuse signed a contract recently with the SBIR. I'm not sure if that's how you should pronounce that, but how would you say this contract would influence the direction of Fuse's work and like its future contribution to the energy sector?
Yeah, so the technology that we're working on is based on innovation or decades of research that Sandia National Lab has done in the US, which obviously Sandia's mission is to bolster the national security. But as we've seen, right, the National Ignition Facility at Livermore is the first facility to demonstrate scientific break-even for fusion, right? So there's really awesome technology that was built through national security and defense programs that it's time to commercialize. And I think Fuse falls in the same category where there's really amazing technology that is dual use by nature, that will help safeguard humanity. We're very proud to be strengthening our national security and world order while continuing on the path of fusion energy, and it's the same technology path. So we're not getting distracted. It's actually in line with where we want to go.
And who do you think stands to benefit the most from, for example, Fuse's work in the short or even the long term?
I mean, in the long term, hopefully every single human will start to benefit from that, right? Like if you wake up and you have more energy, right, then you don't have to worry about turning off the light or how much your compute power is. Like energy becomes a commodity, and that I think will have significant impact on like human flourishing, innovation, etc. And hopefully it will impact at the micro scale every single human being who's like waking up in the morning and not having to worry about electricity.
Yeah. So what's next for Fuse? What are you guys looking forward in building? I want to give you like just a room for making us dream, I guess.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited to continue building larger machines. We'll be live streaming 1 terawatt firing of a full-scale Titan with a wire array, so actually doing an implosion, and that will be all live streamed. So on August 8th, so you can go on the YouTube link online and registers and have a live stream of us firing for the first time in the world. Just something like a generator of this kind at this scale gets fired. So yeah, I hope whoever listens to this gets to tune in and get a chance to see us firing Titan.
That's cool. I'll definitely tune in. And as we wrap up, could you share what keeps you personally motivated and excited about the future of Fuse?
It's just a mission, just waking up and knowing that what you do matters, and then there's people who actually care about it, and a team that's working really hard. So I'm, very grateful and proud of the team that we have, and also the mission that we're after.
Great. Thank you so much, JC. It's great talking to you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.